think it was in my last video, I talked about how the Northern Army, how they're going to meet their end, the location. And what I wanted to do is point out a mistranslation in Joel 2, where it talks about the Northern Army coming down, and it just first describes them as locusts. Then you realize they're not locusts after all. And the translators, they claim that this Northern Army would be buried between the Mediterranean Sea and the Dead Sea. That's a little strange, being that the Northern Army is going to come into the Golan Heights, a land of unwalled villages. A land of unwalled hamlets. I'll go to Joel 2 and show you for a minute what they're saying. When I say translators, let me do the King James Version first, and then I'll go to some of the other versions, and you will see they took liberties with translation and confused the issue, and I want to set the record straight here. Now, if I can find it, it was right in front of, here we go. Joel 2 and verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the Northern Army. Now, before I continue, let's go to verse 23. And who is he talking to? He's talking to the children of Zion, the children of Jerusalem. So let's get that in context. So he's saying he's going to remove far off from the children of Jerusalem the Northern Army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up. All right. Now that we have seen this, let's first of all look at the Strong's Concordance translation. It does say, indeed it does say, that the Northern Army is going to be far away. Their stink is going to be far away from Zion, far away from Jerusalem. Okay? His face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. Now, the utmost sea is the Mediterranean Sea. And the east sea would be either the Sea of Galilee, Kinneret, or the Dead Sea. But there's a problem. If it were between the Dead Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, that would put the stink right around Jerusalem. That would put they'll put the dead bodies close to Jerusalem. I'm talking about of the Northern Army. I'm not talking about the Eastern Army that's going to come in. Okay, I'm talking about the Northern Army. It says he's going to make sure their carcasses are far away from Zion, from Jerusalem. Okay. So it cannot mean the Dead Sea. Now let me tell you what I'm talking about when I tell you of the versions. Let's go to, what is it? New International Version. Let's see what it says. It says, the eastern ranks will drown in the Dead Sea, and its western ranks up in the Mediterranean Sea. And its stench will go up, and its smell will rise. But we just read that he's going to push or bury that northern army far away from Zion. That's not far away from Zion the way they translated it. So, let's examine then the Sea of Galilee, Kinneret. We will do that by going to Ezekiel 39, and we will find some clues, and then the last clue that you will find sticks out like a sore thumb. All right? Ezekiel 39. In verse 11, and it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto Gog a place there of graves in Israel, the valley of the tourists on the eastern part of the sea. So if you go and look at the Sea of Galilee, you will see on the southeastern part of that sea, or I should say, the southeastern part of the Sea of Galilee, you will see a valley. Go look at Google Maps. You'll see the valley. It's there. Okay? Where is it located? In the Golan Heights. In the south part of the Golan Heights. Okay? And it will stop the noses of the tourists. And they shall, there at that place, shall they bury Gog and all his multitude, and they shall call it the valley, once again, valley of Hamon-Gog. And Israel, and they will 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying them, and that they shall cleanse the land. Now, I will continue, and a huge clue is going to pop up. That's going to lay to rest the Dead Sea theory. I will just continue. Yes, and all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a day of renown, that I shall be glorified. So there's going to be a special day in Israel on their calendar where they will glorify Jehovah on that day when the northern army is thrown back. Verse 14, and they shall sever out men of continual employment passing through the land to bury with the passengers, where it says alienate instead of passengers, all bar. It means cross over. Interesting. And the way the way they have it written, it says, "And the passengers that pass through the land, when any sees a man's bone, then shall they set up a sign by it until the buriers have buried it in the valley of Hamon-Gog. Also the name of the city shall be Hamona. Thus they shall cleanse the land." We're getting closer and closer and closer to the biggest clue of them all concerning location. Verse 17, You, son of man, thus saith Jehovah Elohim, speak unto every feathered fowl and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves, come and gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel. That you may eat flesh and drink blood, that you may eat the flesh of the mighty and drink the blood of the princes of the land, of rams, lambs, and of goats, and of bullocks, all of them, fatlings of what? Bashan. Now, those of you who are astute in geography, especially Israeli geography, Bashan is the Golan Heights. How about that? This is the reason why, folks, you have to read the words of the prophets of Jehovah, because he gave those words to the prophets very, very carefully. All of them, the fatlings of the Golan Heights is how it should read today. And there you have it, folks. I even missed a part where it talks about the stink shall be so bad. Yeah, it stops up the noses of the passengers in verse 11. And the valley of the passengers at sea. Let me look at this. Yeah. So apparently, if you go look then, now that we've established that these all are going to be buried, are not going to be buried way, way, way down there close to Jerusalem. No, far, far away from Jerusalem. In the valley near Bashan, or in Bashan, which is none other than the valley that's east of the Sea of Galilee, or just to the on the lower end, but east of the Sea of Galilee. Once again, I can tell you, you can go to Google Maps and you will see that valley. That is the valley. They're not going to be dragged from one end of the country to the other. No, sir. They're going to be buried right there where they come in. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you so that you will not be confused by what other translations say concerning that northern army somehow being buried or dying between the Mediterranean Sea and the Dead Sea. That's just not the case. They can't make a case for that, because it has to be far away from Zion, far away from Jerusalem.